When you think Fallout, there are probably a few images that appear in your head. Big Iron, Liberty Prime, all the different ways to torment Mama Murphy, Dogmeat, the list goes on and on. But you probably think about nuclear war too. So what if you could harness the power of a nuclear war, tone it down by like 99%, and use it as a weapon? Can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only a fat man? After giving myself a callback name to a simpler time, I began making my character. I had some great ideas for what he should look like, but things kinda got out of hand, and somehow I created a 4th generation inbred monstrosity coming from the Paul x Paulina bloodline. As for special points, the fat man is an explosives weapon, if you can believe that, which makes the build based around perception. However, something we've never really experienced before in a run is the strength requirement, which greatly complicates things. You can use any weapon regardless of your strength, it's just not going to be a great experience. Strength of 8 to use the fat man effectively eats up a good amount of points. I put the rest in intelligence for obvious reasons, and luck, because fat men are not cheap, and neither are the things they fire from themselves. Prior to selecting my skills, I played around with an idea, a first of its kind idea. What if I was Doc Mitchell? I almost sorta look like him, or maybe his brother, who was dropped by our family's least favorite uncle shortly after being born. I sat in his seat to see how it feels to be him. I wanted to know what happens if you never do the interview. I'll tell you now that this went off the rails faster than most things do, except for the Wii Sports video. That was a clusterfuck of an idea that surpassed what even I thought was possible. I eventually sped up the game by 1,000,000%. I can't be bothered to do the math on this, but if my math is correct, something like 3,000 in-game days are passing every hour. Don't think for an instant that it didn't destroy the game. It did, quite badly. Setting the time scale back to 1 broke both my legs on a cosmic scale, which gave me the idea for a jump-only video, but it seems that our universe died in that disaster, and in this new universe, walking simply isn't a thing. Doc Mitchell wasn't going anywhere. I had to quit the game to fix it. Onto the skills after wasting so much time. Skills were barter because my future is going to be frustrating enough as it is. Medicine, to endure the pain of everyday life by numbing my entire body with substances. And explosives, to turn that pain into ways to hurt others. Traits were skilled for the same reason as always, and fast trigger. The fat man fires slowly enough as it is. The 20% fire rate bonus is going to vastly outweigh the accuracy penalty. The thing about the fat man is that there are only 8 of them you can find in New Vegas, and ammo is even more rare. Oddly enough, despite being harder to find in New Vegas than Fallout 3, they also do significantly less damage. I truly cannot believe it. After all these years, I finally found a flaw in Fallout New Vegas. It probably goes without saying that my first destination was the Strip. Can't attack anything until I get my arms around a fat man, and I didn't want to be limited by only having a few nukes. This means I need caps out the ass. With my eyes on the prize, I rebooted the mission and began my journey through Cazador Canyon. It could have gone worse. I managed to lure a baby into a group of Cazadors to see who would win. The baby fought well, taking down 2 babies of the rival species. I tried to trick one of its parents into getting into a rumble with the flying parents, but all I got was a stinger in my ass for trying to cause a commotion on Mulberry Street. It wouldn't be the first time I've done that. My great-grandmother lives on a Mulberry Street, and when I was little, my uncle hit me in the face with a snowball, and I screamed as loudly as I possibly could. Because I was in the area, I discovered Red Rock Canyon to save myself some time down the human experience timeline. As I rounded the northern boundaries of the Strip, I got assaulted by fiends, and I noticed an old and familiar friend. The kind of friend who makes a long post on Facebook about how people need to remember who their real friends are because you two got into an argument about which person came up with the name for your Modern Warfare 2 clan. The game also started getting really stuttery, which was quite annoying. Part of me wants to do a Mitten Prime run similar to the mod interference problem where the game has no textures. If anyone knows how to make that happen, find me on Twitter, if you dare, and let me know. Don't say anything about the wireframe console command. I know all about that. Thanks to the power of exchanging goods and/or services for other goods and/or services, I got myself up to 2,000 cabs, entered the Strip, waltzed into Gamora like I was a health inspector worried about half the building not existing, got myself some chips, went ahead and exited the game because I don't like recordings to be too long, and my save would not load back into the game. This was probably the biggest save corruption problem I've ever faced in all my decades of doing these challenges. Loading old saves didn't do anything. I could not get into this save anymore. Reactivating NMC's 3-part texture pack didn't fix it, nor did doing the same thing to my other mods. Disabling them altogether and loading the vanilla game was also not my savior. This save, Hey Peter, is forever delegated to the land of forgotten characters. You know, the people you only ever see once in your life? That's where they live. Eager to do this idea because it was a Wednesday afternoon and I wouldn't have another opportunity to do anything until Friday afternoon, I cheated my way back to where I'd gotten in the first save. In retrospect, I think playing with the speed of the universe may have been what caused this. I gave myself some console command powers to quickly retrace my steps back to the strip. I dropped all the weapons I'd had, tried to match my inventory as quickly and as accurately as possible, discovered the same locations, gave myself exactly 2,000 caps as that's how many I had in the practice round, and soon enough I was on my way to the strip. But that's when it happened. I got challenged to a street race. For a while there, I wasn't sure if I could pull out a victory, what because of the Cazador stinger, but I channeled my inner turtle by not wearing shoes and won the race. From there, I went back to Gomorrah, where I gambled until I got kicked out. With roughly 11,100 caps to my name, I skedaddled to the gun store to buy me a kid's version of a World War conflict-ending toy. I had a decision to make. Do I buy a fat man, or do I buy his cool Aunt Esther, who lets me eat my dinner in the shower? Both the regular and Esther are fat men, and spending more on a weapon would leave me with less ammo, and there's nothing I love more than contradicting myself. I could have scavenged the wasteland and eventually found a few darts, but that would have made it closer to a pacifist run than a weapon-restricted challenge. If I only attack like 8 things in the entire playthrough because ammo is so scarce, it almost ruins the point of the challenge. Needing a higher military budget, I entered the tops, next for more gambling. Completely forgot about finishing a quest by entering this place, dumped the points into both barter and explosives, gambled my way to the greatest day of my life, besides the day in the future when a certain special someone finally dies and I can spit on their grave in front of their grieving family. I had trash can filling ravioli luck inside the White Glove Society, mainly because I made some decisions that some people may consider stupid, like staying on a 5 and a 6. I got kicked out of all 3 casinos once again, but wait. There's more. I also went to the Atomic Wrangler and gambled more. Completely forgot about this place. I haven't been in here since I inquired about what happens if you put Fisto through the Pack-a-Punch machine. The payouts aren't as high and you can't win as much overall, but it's still another option for getting about 5,000 caps if you've got enough luck. Then again, if you've already gotten kicked out of all 3 casinos and still need more caps, odds are you're a high-level character and can sell high-end weapons for easy caps, which would make what I just said irrelevant. I guess this advice is for future me. I cannot wait to see how future me contradicts current me. With the most caps I've ever had in my life without cheating, I obtained the deed to Esther's soul, bought 3 big kid mini nukes, 2 low yield, 1 timed, and 3 conjoined twin post-separation all fired from a cannon toddler mini nukes. I bought all those 10 items and still had 12,000 caps left. I almost immediately regretted my decision to buy the higher end model. I don't need all this Esther. Before continuing on my merry way, I tested each mini nuke, then reloaded a save because these is valuable items, to see how they performed. You might be wondering what wacky shenanigans our old buddy Paul got up to next. I stood in place, motionless, for 4 days. Back to the gunnery mall I went to buy more nukes. But for the moment, I only did this one time, not until I drained all my caps like in other videos. I did sorta try though. The pancake troll face under the bridge at 188 Trading Post can sell nukes too, but only if you pass a skill check, which I could not. As a pair of feral puppies feasted on my tuchus, I realized what I had to do, and so to Boulder City I went. Monroe let me in because I promised to help, and I blew up his soldiers. Turns out that the timed mini nuke bounces like a motherfucker. I can't think of any weapon or ammo type that acts like my brother's skull. After that time, I ran a bunch of bungee cords across our open garage door at neck height, and he ran into them and clotheslined himself. Good times. Not as good as the time I threw a baseball bat at his face, or put hot sauce on his toothbrush, or turned on a drill and pressed it into his thigh. Little cried after that last one. God, 7-year-olds are so stupid. The timed nukes can also be used as projectiles and do large amounts of damage to the target while still exploding. Don't know exactly how much, but it's enough to kill a weakling by shoving it through their skull via their mouth. I was surprised that even Monroe himself joined in the fun. Equally surprising was how the Great Khans ain't give a shit when I let their birthday party pinatas loose. Veronica immediately fled from me, kinda odd. I give off very friendly vibes to all people. The Paul you see is only a character. I only think and act like a maniac, but I'm not actually one. Then again, I did spend 25 minutes laying in bed on Thanksgiving night trying to think of how I could steal a dozen rolls of toilet paper from my parents' house without them noticing. It didn't work out. I only got one, and it was probably the most obvious one I could have taken. Don't ask what that means. I got Veronica to get me inside the bunker so I could buy more ammo, just to have another option. Remembered that a companion killing rat scorpions vacationing near the bunker would violate one of my non-disclosure agreements, so instead I used the eye candy that is my body to lure all the rat scorpions into an angry mob, blasted them all alongside myself, and left I don't know what that was, and left one survivor stuck in the ground to tell passersby about what happened on this fateful day. Unfortunately, inside the bunker I could buy nothing. What I could do though was glitch myself inside the armory and steal about 14,000 caps worth of power armor. Even after talking to the elder and agreeing to help, the vendor would still not sell me her rounded goodies with a wide base. Before continuing on with whatever I was going to do, I bought a weapon mod for Esther. It was not meant to be. It was not her size. I didn't return it for store credit, which could be used to buy more food. I kept it near her to taunt her. If you think that's f***ed up, you're right, she is f***ed up. The mod cuts her weight in half. All she'd have to do is cut off both her legs and maybe half an arm. But she just doesn't get it. She can't see the full picture of what we'd be accomplishing if she let me cut her f***ing legs off. The big boy did far more damage inside the tops than I would have thought. From a decent distance, it killed me. I really thought the tiny tots were going to be the star of the show, but the tiny ones do so little damage on their own. However, they are really useful in ensuring you don't miss if you're only going after one or two innocent civilians who just happened to be in the right place at the right time when you decided to commit war crimes. At level 6, I took the Demolition Expert perk to make explosive weapons do 20% more damage. I met with Yes Man because, come on, this is a Mitten Squad video. I went ahead and bartered with the underground medical woman for healing supplies, bought some ammo, and entered Mr. House's dojo to black out and wake up in his basement with no way out. I noticed something while I was down there. The barrier doesn't go all the way to the ceiling. There's a gap, and I just so happened to have a kind of ammo that would bounce off the ceiling and fall to the ground before exploding, taking with it the Securitrons, performing Mr. House's demonstration. My plan worked to perfection. The game is stuck. With the Securitrons dead, Bobby won't continue to stroke his ego, and the elevator doesn't work. The game is in a soft lock. The second time down there, again, curiosity got the better of me. I spied, with one of my gigantic eyes, a terminal over yonder. I wanted to know what was on it. One console command later, there was nothing there. But it wasn't just a piece of the environment. There was an option in the terminal that does nothing, despite the fact that you can't get over there without cheating. After learning that Mr. House's hyperbolic time chamber was capable of withstanding a nuclear strike, I killed him with the nuke itself, took the Demolition Rank 2 Expert perk, and for some reason, collected 100 pounds of pre-war books. If my memory is correct, and it probably isn't, I thought I could collect them all, and then when I couldn't, I tried to collect as many as I could. Then I dropped them on the ground, like the cool kid in the library who causes a ruckus because he isn't very loved by his parents. My next task for myself was the extermination of the Great Khans. This was pretty weird. Things happened here that I can't explain. I laid down a time bomb in their place of worship, maybe shouldn't have said that, and killed all but one person. Their leader is in pieces on his throne. Yet the last man standing didn't care. Thinking I'd just successfully done what past massacres couldn't, I headed north for the airport. After meeting Pearl and hearing that there was a young man with his eyes on a faraway lady, a fun thought entered my mind. The girl he has a crush on. What if I killed her? When he describes her to me, would I have the option to tell him that I blew her up, but I was more sad about the Brahmin who died with her? As it turns out, I don't know. In typical Mitten Squad fashion, I couldn't find him. I did find the hangar filled with beds, didn't even know that place existed, but I could not, for the life of me, find Jack. I even waited in his place of work so I could fill his heart with pain, but the bastard wouldn't dare show his face. Naturally, I considered that an act of war, so I assassinated their leader with a nuclear weapon. It was then I learned that the Great Khans had not yet been dealt with. This was where the weird starts. I killed one guy in front of two others and they got pissed, as expected when you're dealing with crybabies, but nobody else did. The two addicts in the trailer park didn't care. nor did the junkie approaching them. Still not enough, I returned to the sole survivor who had not left his post. I obliterated his post. It was here I began to think that I was a soldier of God, carrying out his will against people who most likely didn't do anything wrong. The big kid proved his worth once more by taking out at least 7 people at once, including myself. But where I really wanted to let this baby loose was at Thanksgiving dinner. I was so excited for it that right after I fired, I slowed down time and activated the free cam to get a close-up look at the carnage. It was good, not really as great as I'd hoped. It only took me 2 more shots to clean up the stragglers and leave 1 person alive again. Mortimer went to the big slaughterhouse casino in the sky. I tried to get Yes Man to protect me from all harm. A simple door did more to help me than that ass kisser. I had me a big confusion when I couldn't figure out why my objective wasn't updating to the lucky 38 after telling Yes to meet me there. It was a cavalcade of disasters that I won't bother getting into. Just know that it wasn't something stupid, like me not having the right active quest. I would have liked to take out the big NCR cheese with the fat man, but they aren't fans of mine. At level 12, I took the splash damage perk to increase the area of effect for all explosive weapons by 25%. A powerful perk when combined with Esther, explosives at 100, and demolition expert at rank 3. At some point, I can't remember where, Veronica ditched me. I sent a special treat hurtling towards her kneecap. It killed her before the explosion could. An NCR patrol squad stopped me on my way to the Dorito station. You may not believe me when I say this, but I swear to every non-existent god that I didn't plan on killing them. My finger just slipped. At the station, I learned that the big nukes have a hell of an arc to their shot. I failed 4 times, even once with VATS, to get the bomb to their bodies. The problem was, I lacked the high ground. Upon said high ground, I got an almost perfect mushroom cloud among the very wide shaft erupting from the base of the building, activated the thing, went to the dam, and the real game began. I'm not sure what you were expecting this to be like, but it wasn't terrible. The Esther is capable of taking out ground centurions with a single blast. Same goes for the pair of NCR heavy troopers whose skin I peeled off and draped over my body. That little trick also helped me avoid conflict with my fellow bandana-wearing comrades. I also stopped for a brief moment because I thought I noticed Hey Peter 2.0 going into a Naruto run as he put away his weapon. It's probably the closest you're gonna get without mods. With the generators destroyed, I returned to the surface, finally became enemies with the Legion, tried to toss a fallen brother over the edge so his metal body could rest in a better, wetter place. The Legate's camp was even easier than what came before it. Single soldiers stood no chance whatsoever. Then there was the Legate himself. The first thing to point out is that in trying to kill him, I killed myself several times before finally sending him to his final rest. The tots came in handy when I wiped out the Legion's favorite cows. And to round out this experience, there's General Oliver. What even needs to be said? It took longer to pull out of Esther than it did to kill the General. I might have accidentally offed myself when trying to kill Yes Man, attempted to end his brothers as well. It didn't go my way, and despite the heavy emotional damage that came from that, I succeeded in beating Fallout New Vegas with only a fat man. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the champion tier supporters as well as other channel members for making videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server through a link in the video description. Follow me on Twitter @Mitten Squad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day.